Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome to Tools and Tips to Owning Your Worth. I have such a special treat today. Today I'm going to cover a topic that was brought to my attention by one of you. One of my subscribers added in the comments, hey, would you ever consider talking about saying no and how to say no effectively? So thank you, and please keep those comments coming. And if you're new to the channel, thank you for joining us, and I hope that this resonates with you. If it does, please like the episode, and if it really resonates, please subscribe. And to everybody, if I refer to different episodes, they will be linked below. And again, keep those comments coming. I love it. How to say no effectively and without shame and guilt, which was really how she asked it. And so I think I'm going to kind of dissect it, because I know it seems like a brief topic, but it really isn't. There's a lot of depth there. So what I'd like to talk about before we get to the how to effectively say no is like the physiology and the mindset behind not being able to. Because I think that it would be great as a tool for you guys to be able to start understanding how to listen to your bodies and how to take time and pause the yes train long enough for you to decide coherently and on all levels if what you're being asked to do is something that you actually want to do and if it's for your highest and best good. So, if we are afraid of confrontation, if we are still struggling with our worth, if we claim to not want to hurt people's feelings, or if we have a terrible case of FOMO, we can't say no. All of those different reasons we can't say no. But I'm here to tell you that we aren't in charge of anybody else's feelings. We literally can't affect their feelings at all because it's what they choose to feel. So don't worry about that one. And for the FOMO, I've got it linked below. Don't worry about that one either. And the yes people, the people are like, yes, 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 without really paying attention because you're just like on autopilot because you're a people pleaser and you want to make everybody happy. That's where I'd like to start. Pay attention, okay? That's self-worth. If you are automatically saying yes to people without understanding the impact that it's going to have on your body, you need to work on your worth. And I am telling you this from personal experience. I used to say yes, especially in my 20s and 30s. I said yes to everything until I was so overwhelmed that I would be bawling my eyes out and completely not able to function. And then I would start letting people down. I would either like bail at the last minute, which is just not a good thing to do, or I would just not show up to stuff, which is not necessarily the best thing to do either. You know, you're letting people down that way. So for my fear of letting people down, in the end, I would just, you know, catastrophically let them down because I was so over the top planning out. And I really had to work on understanding that I count. I count. You count. And if it is not in your best interest, then you get to say no. All right? You get to say no. So my first tool that I would like to suggest, which is what I started using, was I started listening to my body. Okay? When people were asking me to do something, I would get very excitable. And it was nervous energy, angsty energy, and it either came from one of two camps. Oh my God, this person's actually asking me to do something. I'm so excited that I just want to do it all. So FOMO. Or, oh my God, this person's asking me to do something and I'm terrified to let them down or piss them off or have them think poorly of me. So I have to say yes. You can throw all of that out the window because none of those things, all of that stuff I just shared with you that I was thinking, none of that is for my highest good. None of that had my health written anywhere in it whatsoever. So I started listening to that feeling And then I really forced myself to pause. Okay, tool number 2, pause. Take a couple breaths. If you notice, sometimes everybody's talking really fast. You know, you're at a board meeting, or you're in a meeting, or you're in a club meeting, or whatever, or even you're just having company or whatever. And the excitement of the room starts to charge, and then you're kind of carried away on that energy, that anxious energy, that excitement energy, and then that's another time when we often will say yes without meaning to say yes, okay? So it's very important to stay inside your body and listen to the cues your body is giving you. And once I would do that, then I would, it was painful, but it really worked, so I'm gonna give you the tool anyway. I would make myself not talk for like a count of 2 breaths. So an inhale, and I made them slow, like slow breaths. Because the breathing slowly would calm my physiology, it would pull me back from that energetic edge I was at, and it gave me enough time to stay in my body. And then eventually I started learning to ask myself in that, 16 seconds of those 2 breaths, do I really want to do this? Is this really something I can fit into my schedule? Is this really for my highest good? How do I really feel about this? And, not all of them, but one thing, I would ask myself, one thing, do I really have time for this? That was my go-to. Do I really have time for this? Not, do I really have time for this? But do I really realistically have time for this? Because when I was at my worst with this, I had small children, and I was doing a million things to try to fill myself up because I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't taking care of my self-worth. So I was picking at it from all these different sources, okay? And that wasn't leaving anything for me. So that I would take those couple of breaths and I would ask myself, do I really have time for this? Okay. And then the third tool, which I eventually got to, but I'm just going to share it with you because I really feel like it's more important to get it top of mind. And I didn't realize it till years and years later, is again, it doesn't matter. If you say no and that person gets angry or hurt or offended, who cares? Who cares? That is a moment in their lives, a moment. So they're upset. So they're miffed. Big deal. If you say no, they're either going to pawn it off on somebody else, assign it to somebody else, or take it on themselves. And none of that matters to you. None of that matters to you. What matters most is, are you staying in balance? And are you staying in health? And are you taking care of your own worth? Are you loving yourself? And if you can answer that question yes, then you can automatically say no. You have to honor yourself first, because you are all you've got. And if you're energetically depleted and you're physically depleted and your brain is like a complete puddle because you have so many things on your plate and you're thinking about adding more, then back up. Just back up. And that's the second part of this that I'm going to talk to you about. If you've already yesed your way into this big, huge mess like I used to do, then here are some tools to tactfully getting out of it. All right. Number 1, part of owning our worth is really owning when we ourselves have screwed up. So there is nothing wrong with a phone call or an email if it's appropriate because it's a work thing or a club thing or whatever, volunteer. There's nothing wrong with simply saying, and not a day before the event either. I'm talking like weeks out. Once you've realized that you've made this mistake, sit down, craft an email or craft a conversation with this person and just say, I apologize. I have way overscheduled myself. I am on the verge of being sick or whatever it is, and I must decline. And in the future, I will be making, healthier decisions or whatever it is. I think the most important thing is to own it. If you've overscheduled yourself and you're trying to back out, don't excuse it. Don't be like all this BS and blah, 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 and all this came up, and then own it. I've overscheduled myself. I'm feeling super, super crazy right now, and something's got to go, and it's this item that I am choosing to take off my plate. There is nothing wrong with doing that. And I'll tell you what, you do that a couple times and you'll stop overscheduling yourself, because it stings when you got to be like, I sucked, I didn't do my best, I didn't show up as my best self today, and now I gotta back it up. You know, nobody likes to disappoint the world or not show up as your best self. So I would say that it's inevitable. Saying no is an extremely huge part of life. You know, think of how many, okay, here's another angle. How many of you have gone on dates with people or not ended friendships because you were too afraid to say no? What? Are you kidding me? Like, think about it. Say no. Just say no. So there you go. That's my first topic that came out of comments. Thank you. And I hope that this was helpful. And at the end of the day, please, please, please remember, choose yourself, choose health, choose balance, listen to your body, and try to stay energetically calm and energetically in. And all will be well. Thank you so much. Have a fabulous day. Namaste.